We're going to begin by discussing the selfless nature of a spiritual person. Your biggest problem in life is humility. You're gifted, you're kind, you're true, you're real. You're effective in everything that you're allowed to do in this world. The basic superstructure of this world, being born into it, living and dying, that's the trauma we live with. We're always available and aware of, available to and aware of transcendent purity, a beauty, a kindness, a decency. It transcends words. It's a marriage with heaven. Do you understand by the word marriage? Don't think of the material in your mind, of the essence, of the purity and the beauty, when two hearts really have nothing else but the need to be sweetly aligned, trusting, caring, protective of one another's nature in every conceivable way. And it's a delicate, delicate sense. I'm talking about true love. And then you collide with the forces of this world to be effective. The dad goes out to be work for the family and the kids and the mom, and it gets all these different areas of responsibility, and you're hit on all sides. That's why, for the most part, deeply spiritual people throughout the world have kind of stepped away from the world as much as they can. In the East, and I spent a lot of time there were monks and nuns, but the real holy men I met, like a Baba Bedi, were like, he was home, and people didn't know he was the holy one because he didn't try to affect any, like he was somebody. He was just a guy. So we loved each other very dearly, and I want you to know that you can be just a guy, just a girl, just a woman, a lady, and at the same time be just a king or a queen in a spiritual sense and overcome the forces of darkness that own this world. And I'm not saying it to be afraid of it if you understand what it is. And of course, on top of that, you're truly humble. If you're truly humble, you can see God. If you're really, really humble, you are God. Humble and aware. Not acquiescing to everything, but aware of everything. And there's a sublime quiet, and a purity, and a simplicity to this sense of eternal gladness. It's quite wonderful to be spiritual at any time, at any age. And if you are the spiritual one, you're always aware of the impending doom that every human being lives with. The rent, the injury, the illness, death, disease. If you're truly spiritual, you really have an almost impossible time letting people around you know that you know everything, always. About everything, always. But you don't take part in the everyday travail. You'll do whatever you can. You'll even appear like everyone else does because you have to do that to take part. You're always looking for that meeting ground. Not with the lower realm, but with the hearts and souls of those you find effective in their mystic sense of life. And the more you're aware of that, the more traumatized this world will try to make you. It will try to destroy you all day, every day. All of us who are spiritual, we know exactly what's being said right now. We're at the effect of everything more than our friends and neighbors and loved ones, and we can never really say it because of our biggest problem, humility. So we accept a lot of the pitfalls of this world and the judgments of friends and loves around this. Why haven't you done this? Why aren't you doing that? Why aren't you taking part? And you feel the questioning, and the point is, you're not this person who appears to be like everyone else because you have a body and a name and a place or a time. All of us who are mystically inclined are transcendent of the everyday, all day, through the evening hours, and into the next morning, into the daylight. And when evening falls, and the years pass quickly, and we subdue many dragons on behalf of our friends and loved ones. And today let's discuss subduing the last dragon on behalf of God, our friends, our loved ones, our family, our mom and our dad, our kids, the sweet lady down the street, the powerful man out there that protects the neighborhood, whatever. There's decency everywhere, but again, the pitfalls, to explain it very directly, of believing you are a body in a time, in a place. That's the illusion. That's what in the East they call Maya, the illusion. And the happier you are and the more fulfilled you are, the more tragic the secret life that you live becomes. So don't be fooled by material success or any. People all live with the cross that they bear. When you're spiritual, and when you're not, it doesn't matter. We don't care. I don't say that because we don't care, but because they're not really what you might think they are. Certain people are possessed forever, and that's okay. You understand? And that's going to move us right into the area that I wanted to discuss today, which is justice. Let there be peace on earth, goodwill to all. And that comes through the spiritual realization of knowing we're not a body and a place at a time. All the spiritual literature will say this. When you fall in love, you know this. My buddy Greg teaches many little children here, and of course adults and world-class fighters, but he teaches them just to confront the forces of the everyday. There are so many different means of giving you confidence and awareness. And what we're discussing today is mysticism. It's the last step you'll ever have to take in human consciousness. When you arrive at this effulgence, this simplicity, in conscious awareness, the world does not exist to the spiritual. To make it very clear, for this aperture called birth, you're born here, all the conditioning falls upon you, and you try to become this or that, the other. And if you're truly spiritual, from the time you were a teenager or a young 20s or 7 years old or 4, like my buddy here, you're aware of this, of eternity. Call it God, spiritual illumination, enlightenment, nirvana, all these names, the beatific vision, the vision of God. There is such a thing, and it's a simple awareness. The artist feels it, the writer feels it, the mom's imbued with it at childbirth, and you have a love for that one that precludes all else. And when you have that love for God, which is an infinite openness, which is an infinite you see the borders collapse around this sense. And I'm saying if you live this fully at this time, then there'll be no going back. There'll be no more tragedies or death or birth or rebirth. You can fold it up this time around. This time around. So in the simplicity of your quiet hours, you'll have many, many visions. Don't worry how this happens or not. You don't have to try to initiate it. It will happen. There is a God, and God is endlessly trying to give God's self back to us. We're the heroes in heaven who have arrived at this plane of being to fold it up. It's a mistake. There's an infinite divine universe called heaven, called whatever, beyond the throne of grace, which all spiritual people have seen at some point. And the heavenly grace will fall upon you if you simply acknowledge the existence of an eternal goodness. God is a presence. You are a presence. And if you acknowledge that right now, you will continue to feel it. And that which we call God, just talk to God, and God will talk to you. And it might happen at the 11th hour, tomorrow morning, the next 5 minutes, all day, like with the people who are spiritual. They're aware of God all day, every day, and no matter what they go through, and they go through all the ravages of the earth life, and they're very competent and confident. And yet that problem we have with the humility prevents us from really telling even those around us that God himself is looking out from our eyes. If we were less humble, we could say it, but we're not. So that's our biggest problem. But it's not a problem because it's divine grace. You cannot imagine telling someone how to live or what to do or not. You'll step in when an emergency arrives. You're always there. But your inner sanctum, your simplicity of your emotions, you're caring and kind and there for others, and you have to wait for that one opportunity to explain to a humble friend that there's nothing wrong with them, or to listen to them. Not to tell them anything about themselves because you're humble, but you will listen and you'll help them unload their case, as it were. You know, everyone has a case, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, or a psychologist, whatever their case is such and such. So every human being, the conditioning around them, you can call it their case. And if you're very quiet with someone you love and you're aware of this divine nature you have, and you'll have the availability to listen to someone without reacting. Not everyone about everything, not about the football game, oh my God. But you can see when something is problematic and they need to release it, and you very gently and kind of secretly invite it and listen without making any judgment about it. Allow them to breathe and then get back in the game. What will happen is what's traditionally been called a miracle, because they'll open to the godness within them. So let your friends and loved ones, the decent people you meet, the ones that aren't tragically bound forever to this force of the world that is forever lost. And like I say, that person doesn't need help. They need a way, we need a way to remove them. You look God in the eye and God will be you. You look the devil in the eye, he will flee from you. There's nothing to fear. There's nothing to need to hold on to. You have the power and presence through prayer, through kindness, through simple awareness. You have the power of God forever with you. Walk away from the madness, the ordinariness of the everyday, and you'll find him. Always available, present, kind, caring, so utterly capable God will make you in dealing with this world by simply acknowledging that this is not a place for the divine heart and soul. And you'll then look through it and you'll see only God. There is only God. You are God's only presence. When you relate to God, it's as though you're the only person that ever existed. Because to God, you are the only person that ever existed. When you let go of the whole world through that awareness, then all the rest of us who have the divine nature will disappear back into the divine nature. These are very, very subtle emotions and thoughts. And they're not thoughts and emotions. They're unimaginably more subtle than that. There's a purity, a beauty, a kindness to spiritual awareness. And no one in the world will help you in any true way. From time to time, someone like my friend Susan George stepped in and put together the book After Time. And read that, and it'll cover all this and every possible avenue of approach toward it, all the psychological, emotional, spiritual, all the everyday things, the political, the social. It's all in there in a very beautiful, poetic rendering that you'll enjoy and have with you. And from time to time, it might be 3 times in your life you'll meet a Susan George or this or that, or it will happen for you when you need something that you'll know you'll need 20 years later. Things will happen. Every conceivable moment of your life is accounted for. God is with us every conceivable moment. It's more subtle. God actually is God. In spiritual awareness and different teachings, there are all these reasons and things and beings and stuff. And when you come into contact with the actual God, which will happen from here on in, no matter what you do or think, it will happen. You'll have different visions from time to time that all be with such accuracy that will provide the answers you'll need to step forward another 10 feet, another mile. It'll always be there. And you'll be so thrilled to be endlessly more aware than you could ever imagine. God is God. You are God's presence here in this infinitesimal particle of dust called hell, the world. There are no bodies. There is no time or place in spirituality. We are all that, the newborn of eternity. We're here to fold it up, to end it forever. Isn't that wonderful? Aren't you wonderful? That's being said to help you erase the trauma of being here, and it's the same for all of us. I got slapped around more last night than I could ever dream, and it didn't really matter. I made new friends in the middle of it and went places I wouldn't normally go and did things I wouldn't ever do, and just woke up a whole bunch of people, if I might say, into this better way, this cleaner path. This time of divinity, of the last unfolding, of the kindness and purity and beauty of your heart and soul, which will become God. And all the hard and fastness of the world and all the tragedies and all the social, political, the legal, all these things will disappear from in front of you. And it will be coming at you more than ever. And I'd say be faithful and don't worry about it. It's more simple than that. It's just when you start seeing having these visions of how unimaginably aware God is of everything we've gone through. And God is, we allowed ourselves to be put in the middle of it, and then God is just waking our senses up in the middle of it to undo the conditioning of those we find worthy. Worthy of the dream, the vision, the kindness and purity of you. The real you in your heart and soul that wants to breathe freely, doesn't it? And this is your day, your hour. This time around, you will fulfill that which you were destined to live out. A good life, a pure life, transcendent of all the shoulds and woulds and coulds of this world. You are a good person and true. Your mom knows it, I know it, God knows it, and your future is beyond all dreams and visions of any mortal ever. You are the living light of eternal, everlasting, infinite God, our Father and our friend. And he will now and for the rest of your life look out from your eyes and remind you of how good you are and have tried to be in this hell. You are great. You have power over all the world and all the worlds. You will fulfill the destiny ascribed to you before time was, before things were, before churches saw light, before names were named, before anything was. You were. The light of ages. God bless your destiny. It's spiritual. You're spiritual. There is no time or place or circumstance, no individuated consciousnesses or people. There's only the sweetness in your heart, and you'll lift all the loves of your heart, and you'll be together and live together as one presence forever. That's your destiny. Thank you for listening. Thank you, sir.